In this video, I'm going to have my computer read to you an article on GodandScience.org by Rich Deems. I think it proves that the Bible does not teach a flat earth, but instead a spherical earth. If there are any verses that this article does not address that you think teaches a flat earth that exists in the Bible, please mention them in the comments below, and I will address those verses in another video. So here it goes.
The Bible teaches that the heavens were solid domes embedded with stars. By Rich Deems' introduction, the Bible teaches that the earth was flat and circular, sitting on the earth with a rotating solid sky dome overhead, which carried the sun, the moon, and the stars, and allowed water to leak through windows of heaven or sluice gates to form clouds and rain. 1. If the claim is true that the Bible teaches such a primitive cosmology, then nobody should believe that it originates from God nor follow its precepts. So, let's look at what the Bible really says about the heavens and the earth and whether the atheists' claims are valid. Ancient cosmology, sentient cosmology. Skeptics are correct in saying that many of the ancients believed in a flat earth that was covered by a solid dome. Below are listed some examples of ancient cosmologies prevalent 2,000 to 5,000 years ago. Sumerians. Ancient Sumerians and provide a picture of the universe's antique creation. The Sumerians believed that a primeval sea Abdu existed before anything else, and that the heavens and the earth were formed within it. The boundary between the primeval sea and the earth, a flat disk, was a solid vault, within which was the gas like in the Spherical. The stars, planets, sun, and moon were embedded in this solid vault. Each of the four major Sumerian deities was associated with one of these regions, and God of heaven, key goddess of earth, also known as Nindasad, Inma, or Nida, the god of the air, son of an and key, and Enki, god of the primeval sea. According to their myths, An and Ki were the progenitors of most of the gods. To Greeks, the Greek philosopher Anaximenes described the heavens as like a felt cap that turned on its head, with the stars fixed to this surface like nails. 3 Jews. Some of the Jews also endorsed solid dome cosmology. For example, Josephus, the Jewish first-century Jewish historian, believed that the earth was surrounded by a crystalline firmament. After this, on the second day, he placed a heaven over the whole world, and separated it from the other parts, and he determined it should stand by itself. He also placed a crystalline firmament round it, and put it together in a manner agreeable to the earth, and fitted it for giving moisture and rain, and for affording the advantage of dew. 4 A portion of the Jewish Talmud indicates that the sun traveled under the firmament by day, and above the firmament by night. The learned of Israel say, the sphere stands firm, and the planets revolve. The learned of the nations say, the sphere moves, and the planets stand firm. The learned of Israel say, the sun moves by day beneath the firmament, and by night above the firmament. The learned of the nations say, the sun moves by day beneath the firmament, and by night beneath the earth. 5 Early Christians. Theophilus of Antioch, a 2nd century Christian, wrote that heaven was of dome-like covering, for the Spirit being one, and holding the place of light was between the water and the heaven, in order that the darkness might not in any way communicate with the heaven, which was nearer God, before God said, let there be light. The heavens, therefore, being like the dome-shaped covering, comprehended matter which was like a cloud. 6 Here is what the Book of Enoch, a non-biblical ancient text, says about ancient cosmology. And from thence I went to the ends of the earth, and saw there great beasts, and each differed from the other. And I saw birds also differing in appearance and beauty and voice, the one differing from the other. And to the east of those beasts I saw the ends of the earth whereon the heaven rests, and the portals of the heaven open. And I saw how the stars of heaven come forth, and I counted the portals out of which they proceed, and wrote down all their outlets of each individual star by itself, according to their number and their names, their courses and their positions, and their times and their months. As Uriel, the holy angel who was with me, showed me 7 biblical passages reported to endorse dome cosmology. How it would seem from this list that many ancients, including Christians, believed in dome cosmology. This evidence does not answer the original question, does the Bible teach dome cosmology? Let's examine specific biblical passages that skeptics say teach dome cosmology. The firmament. The main reason why skeptics have said the Bible endorses dome cosmology comes from the King James Version (KJV) translation of the Bible. Here is the KJV translation of Genesis 1:6-8. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven." Genesis 1:6-8. The word firmament implies the solid material, coming from the Latin word firmamentum, from Jerome's Latin Vulgate translation of the Bible. The Latin word firmamentum has the meaning of a support or prop. However, the original Hebrew word, rakia, which Jerome translated into the Latin word firmamentum, is not nearly as specific. Rakia comes from the Hebrew verb raku, which means beat, stamp, beat out, and spread out. Occurring 11 times in the Old Testament, raku has the meaning to stamp one's feet twice, stamp something with the feet once, spreading metal 4 times, spreading out the earth 3 times, and spreading the sky or the clouds once. 9 So the verb raku does not necessarily refer to the beating out of a solid object, but to a spreading out process, whether the object be solid or not. Rakia, the Hebrew noun rakia, is used 17 times in the Bible. 11 of those instances occur in 7 verses. From Genesis 1:105, instances of rakia occur in Ezekiel's visions 11, once referring to the expanse or extent of the angel's wings, and the other 4 referring to something that appeared to be like a gleaming crystal, although it is never identified as being a solid object. 2 others occur in the Psalms 12, once referring to the expanse as described in Genesis, also written by Moses, and the second referring to the mighty expanse of God's power. 12 So, rakia itself does not always refer to a solid object. Genesis 1:8 says that God himself defines what the rakia is, saying God called the expanse heaven. So, the so-called firmament is nothing more than heaven itself and does not comprise a separate structure. This fact is further emphasized in Genesis 1:20, where God says, "Let birds fly above the earth in the open expanse of the heavens." And obviously, birds cannot fly through a solid structure, clearly indicating that rakia is not a solid object. Pillars of heaven in the book of Job. Job is talking to his 4 friends, and eventually to God himself. During one of these long discourses, Job talks about God's creation, referring to the pillars of the heavens. Skeptics say that the pillars hold up the solid dome firmament above the earth. However, before deciding exactly what these pillars of the heavens are, We should look at the verse in context. He spreads out the northern skies over empty space. He suspends the earth over nothing. Job 26:7 He wraps up the waters in his clouds, yet the clouds do not burst under their weight. Job 26:8 He covers the face of the full moon, spreading his clouds over it. Job 26:9 He marks out the horizon on the face of the waters for a boundary between light and darkness. Job 26:10 The pillars of the heavens quake, aghast at his rebuke. Job 26:11 As one can see, Job comes up with some rather remarkable insights into the nature of the earth. He says that the earth is suspended over nothing, and that the clouds carry water and have weight, yet do not fall to earth. In the context of the passage, it is clear that the pillars are the mountains, which quake at God's rebuke. Whereas the Quran says the earth is like the carpet 13 that is held in place by the heavy mountains, described as being like tent pegs 14 so that it won't move or shake 15. The Bible associates the mountains with shaking 16 and says that, instead of placing the mountains on the earth, God caused the mountains to rise up. 17 So it is pretty obvious that these pillars aren't holding anything up, but are merely freestanding pillars, similar to those found in Solomon's temple. 18 The golden mirror. Another example given for the claim that the Bible teaches there is a solid dome that holds the stars comes from the book of Job. Can you, with him, spread out the skies, strong as a molten mirror? Job 37:18 Out of context, it seems like an open and shut case that the Bible teaches that the skies are solid. However, there are some definite problems with the English translation of this verse. First, the Hebrew word shachas 19 translated sky is probably a bad translation of the Hebrew. The usual word that would have been used for sky or heaven is shamedim. 20 The meaning of the Hebrew word shachas is usually cloud or dust. 21 Looking at the context of Job 37, the entire beginning of the chapter is describing a violent storm. 22 and 3 other instances within the same chapter, the word shachas is translated as cloud, so it would make sense to translate it as cloud in this verse also. The Hebrew word rei, translated mirror 23, is found nowhere else in the Old Testament, so its exact meaning remains uncertain. However, it is derived from the Hebrew word which means to appear or to see. 24 Further evidence that rei does not mean mirror comes from the Greek LXX translation of the Hebrew Old Testament, translated by the Jews into Greek during the 3rd and 1st centuries BC, where the translator used the Greek word horophes, which means the appearance. 25 From this information, we can come up with a much better translation that fits the context of the chapter. Can you, with him, spread out the mighty clouds with a molten appearance? Job 37:18 This translation fits the context much better, since the entire first part of Job 37 is about a storm. In addition, the sky does not have a molten, flowing appearance, like clouds do. So, from the context, it is pretty obvious that this verse is referring to the appearance of clouds and not some solid firmament. The other complication for atheists trying to pin a solid sky teaching on this verse from Job is God's response to Elihu's sermon on creation. In the very next chapter, God rebukes Elihu with some pretty strong words. Who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Job 38:2 In other words, God tells Job that his friend doesn't know what he is talking about. So much for this claim that the Bible endorses the idea that the skies are a solid dome. Since God himself answered Job in a 5-chapter sermon, atheists would have a valid point if they found an error in any of those chapters. However, you won't find any complaints about the content of chapters 38 to 42. In fact, chapter 38 accurately establishes the initial conditions of the earth covered with a thick layer of clouds. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? When I made a cloud its garment, and thick darkness its swaddling band. Job 38:4-9. The vaulted dome. Another Bible verse skeptics claims teaches dome cosmology comes from the book of Amos. The one who builds his upper chambers in the heavens and has funded his vaulted domes over the earth. Amos 9:6. This is the only verse in which the word dome actually appears in English translations of the Bible, but it is only found in the NASB translation. Here are some other translations of the verse. It is he that buildeth his stories in the heaven, and hath funded his troop in the earth. Amos 9:6. KJV, he who builds his lofty palace in the heavens and sets its foundations on the earth. Amos 9:6. Then he built his palace in the heavens and let its foundations rest on the earth. Amos 9:6. KJV, he that buildeth his ascension in heaven, and hath funded his bundle upon the earth. Amos 9:6. It is he that builds his ascent up to the sky, and establishes his promise on the earth. Amos 9:6. LXX 26. The Hebrew word in question is agapta, meaning a band, band one, bands one, bunch one, doll 27. The other translations use the word foundation, NIV, and troop, KJV. Here are the other three verses in which the word agapta appears. And you shall take a bunch of agapta of hyssop and dip it in the blood which is in the basin, and apply some of the blood that is in the basin to the lintel and the two door posts. And none of you shall go outside the door of his house until morning. Exodus 12:22. And the sons of Benjamin gathered together behind Abner and became one band agapta, and they stood on the top of a certain hill. Samuel 2:25. This not the fast which I choose, to loosen the bonds of wickedness, to undo the bands agapta of the yoke, and to let the oppressed go free, and break every yoke. Isaiah 58:6. So, it is obvious that the NASB translation of Amos 9:6 is off base. This example is typical of the kind of objection raised by atheists. Their goal is to find an unusual translation, usually found in only one translation, and use this as proof that the Bible is inaccurate. Ends of the earth. The Bible makes numerous references to the ends of the earth. 28. Obviously, if the earth were spherical, it would have no ends. Don't these verses show that the Bible promulgates a flat earth theology? In reality, the Bible almost never refers to planet Earth except in its obvious cosmological passages. The Hebrew word eretz, sometimes translated into the English word earth, nearly always refers to local geography, lands, or the ground, dirt. Most often, passages reference specific geography, usually the land around Israel, of the gods, of the peoples who are around you, near you or far from you, from one end of the earth to the other end. Deuteronomy 13:7 is the firstborn of his ox. Majesty is his, and his horns are the horns of the wild ox. With them he will push the peoples, all at once, to the ends of the earth. And those are the 10,000s of Ephraim, and those are the thousands of Manasseh. Deuteronomy 33 minutes and 17 seconds. May he also rule from sea to sea and from the river to the ends of the earth. Psalms 72:8. He has remembered his loving kindness and his faithfulness to the house of Israel. All the ends of the earth have seen the salvation of our God. Psalms 98:3. Go forth from Babylon. Flee from the Chaldeans. Declared with the sound of joyful shouting. Proclaim this. Send it out to the end of the earth. say, the Lord has redeemed his servant Jacob. Isaiah 48 minutes and 20 seconds. I will cut off the chariot from Ephraim and the horse from Jerusalem, and the bow of war will be cut off, and he will speak peace to the nations, and his dominion will be from sea to sea, and from the river to the ends of the earth. Zechariah 9:10. So, most often, the word land should be used in place of earth. In many instances, Eretz doesn't refer to earth or land or dirt, but to the people who live in the land. Those who contend with the Lord will be shattered. Against them he will thunder in the heavens. The Lord will judge the ends of the earth, and he will give strength to his king, and will exalt the horn of his anointed. 1 Samuel 2:10. All the ends of the earth will remember and turn to the Lord, and all the families of the nations will worship before you. Psalms 20:27. God blesses us, that all the ends of the earth may fear him. Psalms 67:7. He has remembered his loving kindness and his faithfulness to the house of Israel. All the ends of the earth have seen the salvation of our God. Psalms 98:3. The coastlands have seen and are afraid. The ends of the earth tremble. They have drawn near and have come. Isaiah 41:5. Turn to me and be saved, all the ends of the earth, for I am God, and there is no other. Isaiah 45 minutes and 22 seconds. The Lord has bared his holy arm in the sight of all the nations, that all the ends of the earth may see the salvation of our God. Isaiah 52 minutes and 10 seconds. Behold, the Lord has proclaimed to the end of the earth, say to the daughter of Zion, lo, your salvation comes. Behold, his reward is with him, and his recompense before him. Isaiah 62 minutes and 11 seconds. Although we tend to think of the earth as a cosmological entity, the word Eretz should almost always be translated land or people. So, the ends of the earth freely refers to lands surrounding Israel and its peoples. For corners of the earth, there are some references in some English translations to the four corners of the earth, as exemplified in Isaiah. At the one-half will gather the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Isaiah 11:12. NASB. Obviously, a spherical earth does not have corners. So, does this verse imply that the Bible teaches a flat earth? Other translations do not use the word corner, as seen below, and he will put up the flag as a sign to the nations, and he will get together those of Israel who had been sent away, and the wandering ones of Judah from the four ends of the earth. Isaiah 11:12. He will give the signal to the nations, and he will bring together the refugees from Judah and Israel, who have been scattered all over the earth. Isaiah 11:12. CB. And he shall set out the standard unto the nations, and shall assemble the fugitives of Israel, and shall gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four quarters of the earth. Isaiah 11:12. ERB. And he shall lift up the banner for the nations, and shall gather the outcasts of Israel, and gather those dispersed from Judah from the four wings of the earth. Isaiah 11:12. LITV. He will raise a banner for the nations, and gather the exiles of Israel. He will assemble the scattered people of Judah from the four quarters of the earth. Isaiah 11:12. Then IB. Obviously, there is something unusual about these corners. Actually, the Hebrew word translated corner is KA circumflex accent, the circumflex accent PH, which actually refers to the wing of a bird translated literally in the literal translation of the Holy Bible, LITV, above. So, the phrase is an idiom that refers to the 4 points of the compass, north, south, east, and west. The verse has nothing to do with the earth being flat. The next thing you know, the atheists will be claiming that the Bible says the earth is a bird since it has wings. biblical cosmologist Bible presents a cosmological model of the universe, although being a spiritual guide rather than a scientific one. It is not overly detailed. Even so, it is scientifically accurate. Overall, the Bible presents God as the creator of the entire universe, matter, energy, space, and time. It makes the following audacious claims, which contradicted the prevalent ancient cosmologies, but have been confirmed by modern science. Time had a beginning, dawn 29. The universe had a beginning, dawn 30. The universe was created from the invisible, dot 31. The dimensions of the universe were created, dot 32. The universe is the expanding, dawn 33. Creation of matter and energy has ended, and the universe refused steady state theory, dot 34. The universe is winding down and will wear off. Second law of thermodynamics ensured that the universe will run down due to heat death. Maximum entropy, dot 35. Contrary to the teachings of the Roman Catholic Church, the Bible does not say that the earth is the center of the universe, but that the universe actually controls the earth, dot 36. In addition, the Bible correctly identifies the order of creation, dot 37. The Bible's description of the heavens comprise three different areas. The three heavens. Of these heavens, the third heaven is God's, abode 38, which is not part of the physical universe, dot 39. The second heaven is also called the highest heavens and contains the stars, dot 40. The first heaven is the atmosphere, the radia, or biblical expanse, in which the birds, flight and clouds form to produce rain, dot 41. Conclusion. Although many ancients did believe in a solid domed heaven, the claims that the Bible espoused this view are shown to be false. Skeptics who make these claims rely upon poor English translations of the original Hebrew verses, taken out of context, in order to prove that the Bible teaches a false cosmology. In contrast, this page shows that the Bible teaches an advanced cosmology that was not fully verified until the 20th century.
Well, there you have it. Again, if there are any verses that this article does not address, list them in the comments and I will address those verses in another video. I am determined to prove that the Bible does not teach a flat earth but a spherical one, and I will use any verse that you cite as flat earth teachings from the Bible to prove my point. So, sorry this video was a little long, but I had to get my point across. I have linked this article in the video's description below, so you can read it for yourself and get all those citations from the numbers that the computer is reading off. Bye.